for the many and not the few. Hey everybody, this is going to be my super quick take on Bernie Sanders' announcement. I think it's super exciting that he's running for president again, and I'm just one of many, 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 many Canadians who support him in this election. I'm excited for a bunch of reasons, but I just want to highlight a few right now. The first is that Bernie, he really helped to mainstream so many progressive values in the last, over his long career, but really since 2016, he's really helped to mainstream so many ideas. Ideas that were once deemed impossible within the American mainstream discourse, either by Republicans or Democrats, are now either mainstream political opinions or at least so popular now that you can't simply hand-wave them away. Medicare for all, a $15 minimum wage, greater protections for labor unions, greater protections for the environment. These are the sorts of things that were foreign, were alien, were untouchable when Barack Obama was president, or when Hillary Clinton ran for president just a couple years ago, but which are now part of what any progressive Democrat needs to have to seek the presidency. Again, I'm also excited because Bernie doesn't seem to be backing down from his idea of class conflict here. He's clear to note this is about the many and not the few. This is borrowing from Jeremy Corbyn, that you can't serve both. You can't serve the 99% and the 1%. Your political objectives, the political capital you spend, the policies you implement, they have to serve either regular people or the elite. You cannot serve both. And Bernie is saying, I know that. I acknowledge that. I'm doing what Democrats for so long have failed to do, which is recognize that truth. And not only am I recognizing that truth, that class conflict exists, that it's not going away, and that we need to engage in it, but I am doing that on behalf of the working people of this country, the regular people of this country, the many of this country, and not the few, and not the elite donor class that has for so long kind of controlled certain elements of the Democratic Party, or for the Howard Schultzes that says he supports the Democrats but will try to sabotage them if a candidate gets selected that he doesn't personally approve of, someone like Bernie Sanders, for instance. That's why it's so crucial. And I think one thing that's going to be very important here is that Bernie Sanders has made it even more central than he has before, the issues of racial and gender and justice. Bernie Sanders has always supported these ideas for a very long time. But one of the effective smears on him in 2016, again, fair or not, was that his campaign was dominated by the interests of the quote-unquote white working class. And I don't think that was true, but it was an effective attack. Bernie this time has jumped out clearly with calls for racial, environmental, social, and gender justice. That's vital. That's vital in his messaging because he needs to assure, the influential voting bases within the party and diverse bases within the party that he supports their interests broadly. And I think there's no one better suited for this than Bernie Sanders. I don't want to downplay the value of women of color, of white women, of GLBTQ people running for president and bringing those perspectives. I don't want to downplay that at all. But I do think it's crucial to note that when Bernie talks about helping the many, those people are much more likely to be women, to be racialized, to be disabled, to be indigenous, to be gay, than they are to be straight middle-class white men. Because working people are largely the marginalized people. White men don't work for minimum wage nearly as often as women or people of color do. They just don't. White men are much more likely to have jobs that provide health insurance. White men are much more likely, white men and white women are much more likely to have educations. So when you see someone like Bernie Sanders say, I'm fighting for economic justice for the many, that's a call for racial justice. It's a call for gender justice. It's a call for justice for all marginalized peoples. And this doesn't discount the need for, talking about those issues specifically, talking about pay equity specifically. But the reality is that Bernie Sanders' message of economic justice for the 99% is an intersectional message already. And I think it's crucial that he portrays it as such even more so going forward. So I'm excited. You're going to see a lot of content on this channel, of course dealing with Canadian politics. That'll be my main bread and butter. But you're going to see me talk a lot about Bernie over the next few weeks and months. And again, I think he's got a great chance of winning. He's going to have a strong donor base. He's going to have a strong volunteer base. But I can tell you one thing for sure, that win or lose, you're going to see Bernie Sanders succeed again at bringing energy to this campaign. You're going to see him succeed again at bringing new ideas to this campaign. You're going to see Bernie Sanders succeed again at making ideas that were deemed once impossible, once unpragmatic, once too radical for the Democratic Party and the American electorate, and make them mainstream. Look in particular now at Bernie Sanders, as well as people like Elizabeth Warren, to be fair, calling for much higher taxes on the wealthy, not just on income, but on their estates and on their wealth. This is a new frontier. It is a fundamental challenge to American inequality, to intergenerational inequality. And while this may be a bridge too far for some mainstream Democrats as of a couple years ago, it cannot be ignored now. And you're going to see, just watch it. You're going to see people like Harris and Gillibrand and Booker and so many of the other centrist Democrats. You're going to see just how much Bernie has shifted the game. And I can't wait to see how much he shifts it again.